I'm always overcoming confidence. I don't think that ever stops. I think when you tell yourself that, I think you stop growing. I think there was a lesson. I was reading the book, and I'm going to let you know about it. It's Be Water, My Friend. It is by Shannon Lee, who is the daughter of Bruce Lee. And she talks about the philosophy of his teachings, Be Water, My Friend. So he never wanted to put anything in a book. He was a martial artist and mastered and really, really changed the art and brought it in that culture to so many different people, and really transformed many different things. And so, but never wanted to. He wrote and put different things in books, but never called it finished. And he said he always wanted to leave it open because he was never done growing. Nothing was ever finished. He always wanted to learn more, and he was never fully grown. He was never fully done. And I think he said when you call yourself a master of something, then that means that you've closed that chapter and you've closed that book to say, well, I've mastered it and I don't need to know anything else. And so I think that's how I've, taken, my life and things that I'm learning now, is that I'm leaving the door open to, yes, I still struggle with confidence here and there. I got a huge speech coming up and I'm like, oh, I don't know. I'm going to be able to do this. Am I ready for this? And, what's good to come for it after? Am I ready for success after? Am I ready for failure? Or am I ready for, what is going to happen? And so I think you take one step at a time. And I think you give yourself some grace, and you count your wins, and you give yourself a pat on the back. And you learn from the things, you need to learn from. And I think you keep moving forward,
Yeah, understanding that it is a process, and again, appreciating that, like you're just sharing, like it's something that you still are working on to this day,
Mhm.
and like it always is going to be there. And I think it's how do we develop the skills to like deal with it in a way that isn't traumatic or harmful, but allows us to try to operate at our best in that specific
Mhm.
situation.
Yep. Yeah. All right.
So you graduated from your Master's of Public Health program and you shifted into a role as a medical mobile clinic outreach coordinator at St. Joseph's Children's Hospital in Tampa. How do you come across that, and what do you do in that role?
So that's been a while ago. I know when you talk about, it's like you graduated and I'm like, God, that feels like so long ago. I haven't been at school forever. I'm actually doing certification program. I'm like, oh man, I don't even want to open a book. I, thinking about learning and going back to, do that type of process all over again. It's pretty rough. But we decided, I think we're so used to just like moving and going. Didn't have any family in Tampa. We're just kind of like, where can we get more bang for our buck? Where aren't we going to get too taxed too much? Where is the low cost of living? Okay, pick these states. Perfect. Tampa. We came down here one weekend and it was like, oh yeah, this is nice. All right, let's go. And my husband was retiring and we moved down here and it's like, well, I need a job. So where am I going to do? And this is where strategy came into play. So remember how I said I was leaving when I was turning to a military spouse, and I was leaving my connections and my built stability, and I was coming all the way to New Jersey and where I didn't know anybody. And that led me into a crisis. Pretty much I lost my confidence. I was struggling. I didn't know what to do. I felt like I wasn't good enough. So knowing that we were going to leave and knowing when we were going to leave, I strategized because I didn't like that feeling and I didn't want to feel like that again. And so what I did this time was, okay, I have a few months to get this together. What am I going to do? How am I going to prepare? I found a mentor. I joined a network. I had connections in Tampa before I even landed here. I had interviews before I even got here. I was on the road, had to stop to do an interview. By the time I got here, I was in person doing interviews, and it was already my second interviews. And by like week 2, I was already at networking events, meeting people. And one thing I learned at one of the networking events, second week here, was it's all about who you know. They don't let anybody in the door unless you know somebody. So where do you want to work? And I'll introduce you. And was like, perfect. And so it's how things started to work. It's where I strategized and figured out, okay, how do things work? And so that networking opportunity in getting myself out there, because I didn't want that was the resilience, right? That was that missing piece that I didn't have when I moved the first time. So having that, I had better stability. I felt good about myself. I felt like I can do this, and was able to jump into a job within a few months. And started in the mobile clinic, which I absolutely